John Roberts. It is final practice here for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams as part of our Allegiant Fast Friday coverage. The teams had a 90-minute practice earlier this afternoon and another 90-minute practice here as the cars roll down the pit road. Take a look at the weather. It's cool today. It's a beautiful day. It's going to get progressively warmer as the weekend progresses. But an absolutely beautiful day here. We're at the southern tip of Seneca Lake, which is 37 miles long. By transition, this is a 2.45-mile road course. Just had to get that in. We love the geography. All right, well, Larry Mack, let's talk about agendas. Some of the teams went out and busted out a fast lap in first practice. Some didn't.
Yeah, it's an interesting schedule here because 2 hour-and-a-half practice sessions today, qualifying only tomorrow. So we had Brad Keselowski, we had Kevin Harvick, A.J. Allmendinger, Marcus Ambrose. No surprise. They were in the top 5, but they were drivers, I think, that made a mock qualifying run. But we have a lot of drivers that never made one. Tony Stewart in particular, 21st quickets, ran 22 laps, focused on the race setup. I think we'll see some drivers that were struggling for speed or didn't show speed in the first practice be up near the closer to the top because they're going to make a mock qualifying run.
And guys, we had some trouble over there in the bus stop as well as the carousel. Several drivers had a problem. Right here, Kyle Larson is around in the carousel. And a lot of this starts in the bus stop. They get in trouble on exit of the bus stop and they spin out in the carousel. Here's Landon Castle. He makes contact. His team was able to effect repairs and get that car back out on the racetrack in about 15 to 20 minutes. Paul Bernard also in the carousel having problems. So I'll tell you, these guys are really fast, but they're having a lot of trouble with a little bit of grip, especially in that part of the racetrack.
Yeah, I think that just carrying so much speed, it's like the confidence level is exceeding the grip level of the race car.
Exactly right.
Let's go down to the garage and Matt Yoakum.
Steve, one of the more impressive streaks of the past 2 seasons in road course racing here at NASCAR Sprint Cup belongs to Carl Edwards. 3 straight top 5 finishes, including a win back in June at Sonoma. Now, Carl told me he made huge gains in that first session, working primarily on race runs. They're going to work half of this session on race, then swap over to qualifying setup. He knows tomorrow's qualifying is going to be so crucial for Sunday. He feels like they've got plenty of speed in the race car. He's just trying to fine-tune the balance. He said, if we could just get that where I need it. Right now, it's just been way too free all day. If we could get that migrated where I need it, we're going to have a pretty good car on Sunday. Bob Dillner?
4 second-place finishes since his last win. Kevin Harvick wants to hit the Grand Slam here at Watkins Glen. That's the only mission for this 4 team, gaining those extra bonus points as they inch closer to the chase. And in that first practice session, he was the quickest car on the racetrack, but they still have a little bit of work to do. Those were race runs, and in those race runs, he needed a little bit better drive up off the corner. So that's what they will concentrate on in the early part of this session, and then they will switch over to a mock qualifying run. And as Matt just alluded to, qualifying so important here at this big road course of Watkins Glen, guys.
Thanks, Bob. And Phil, it poses the question, when do they switch over to make a qualifying run? What are the things they do to that race car?
They probably do less here than about anywhere. They will take a little bit of fuel out, and they will actually add some weight to the car, and that will give them a little more forward weight, a little more front weight percentage, but it lowers the center of gravity. I think that's the bigger key, is the fact that they lower the center of gravity with these cars going left and right, especially up through the S's. So that's one of the, and then they'll put new tires on, obviously, pump the air pressure up a little bit, put a little tape on them. That's about it here. A lot of places we go to, they put different brakes on them, they put qualifying gears in them. Not here. Very, very minor adjustments for a qualifying scenario.
Couple of drivers that were quick in that first practice getting awfully racy here at the start of this second practice. Ryan Newman in the 31 and Joey Logano in that 22 car.
Both of those cars up in the top 10 in speed in that first practice session.
Hey, we've got about 7 or 8 cars there pretty close together. I frankly didn't see that big of a group in the first practice.
Never. We never saw that big a group in the first practice. We rarely saw 2 cars running together in that first practice session.
But we did have, as we've mentioned, some drivers that did make a mock qualifying run in the first practice. But I somewhat like what I've seen a lot of drivers in their teams possibly doing here, focusing on race runs the first practice, the first half of this practice, and then before it's all over with, give your driver a feel for what a qualifying run is going to feel like.
Casey Kane still looking for his first top 10 at Watkins Glen. Bob?
And he's got some trouble early on in this practice session. Casey Kane actually missed the bus stop on his first lap in this session, and that's because when he went in there, he went to downshift, and when he went to go get second gear, he couldn't find it. So he tried to go back up into third, still couldn't find third. So a transmission issue or a gearing problem for Casey Kane. So Kenny Francis, his crew chief, said, okay, guys, let's change the transmission. Let's change the rear end gear and see if that solves things. But issues for Casey Kane early on in this session.
At the two road courses in Pocono where these drivers shift, there's no penalty at any time over the course of the weekend for changing a transmission.
Why is that? Because they're so difficult on the transmissions?
Yeah, and NASCAR does not want to put a team in a box because maybe a driver missed a shift or he's not liking something he's feeling in the transmission and make him go to the rear because they changed.
Paul Menard is the quickest here in this second practice.
Well, those are cute. Is it just me, or do they start playing this music earlier and earlier every year?
What's that?
The Vegas season music.
Smell like Vegas?
Our apps may be endless, but the offer ends soon. It's just $10. So now's the time to come in, while your choice of our best wings, skins, sticks, and more are still endless. Only at Fridays.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis?
She sounds hideous.
Well, she's a guy, so...
Another reason more people stay with State Farm. Get to a better state.
Horse racing is one of the few sports where men and women compete head-to-head. And I knew this when I made the decision to become a professional jockey. On a daily basis, I'm riding against the men for millions of dollars. But when I'm winning, no one cares that I'm a woman.
Introducing BetAmerica.com, your new home for legal online wagering. It's time to play the BetAmerica way.
Two men walked into a McDonald's and discovered an extraordinary burger with heaps of jalapenos, now for just $2. They also discovered the phenomenon of econom-nom-nomics. McDonald's dollar menu and more. It's econom-nom-nomical.
Next Saturday, Vader, St. Pro. UFC Fight Night on Fox Sports 1.
Sunday, Fox Sports is the place to turn for pre- and post-race coverage of Sprint Cup's day at Watkins Glen beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 2 with the latest from the pits on NASCAR race day. Then catch NASCAR Victory Lane at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 for complete highlights, reaction, and analysis of the race.
Well, it may be early, but there's definitely some new names at the top of the sheet. Looks like our top 6 drivers making mock qualifying runs. Menard, Austin Dillon, David Gilliland jumped up to third. Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, and Casey Mears. There you see David Gilliland in the 38 car. Has a career best finish. One of his second-place finishes at Sonoma a few years ago.
Hasn't had the good finish here yet, but a good road racer. He's won in the West Series out at Sonoma once or twice.
Wasn't his dad Butch a Winston West champion?
Absolutely. Yep, sure was. Third generation driver now. David's son's also racing, and they all raced against each other out at Irwin a couple weeks ago.
During the off weekend.
That's right.
Jeff Gordon in the 24 car making some practice runs here. I know we talk about Jeff having 4 wins here, and rightly so, but the last win was in 2001, and that was actually his last top 5 finish here at Watkins Glen was in 2001.
As much of a role as that team's on right now, I would not be surprised at all to see him contend for a win here come Sunday.
I think he's back to where he's contending for a win anywhere we go.
Yes, sir.
Good shot of those cars going through the bus stop there. A challenging series of 4 corners.
Uh-oh. Looks like engine smoke from the one car of Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, the caution is out because they feel like he's putting some fluid down. Jamie's 13th quickest. He had run a total of 6 laps with his one car, and you know, we don't know yet if it's engine, could be running gear, but unlike the transmission rule, the engine rule still is in effect here. If you change engines, you will have to go to the rear of the field.
Yeah, that's the exit of the bus stop there. He's in the carousel, and obviously that engine had already expired. And I would think it would be an engine from where the smoke's coming from, Larry.
Phil, I think you learned during the break that there has been one engine change down there in the garage area.
Yeah, there has been. Danica Patrick had an issue, missed a gear in practice earlier, and they were looking at it, trying to see if they could keep that engine in the car, but unfortunately it appeared that there was too much damage to that engine, so they went ahead and changed it. She's already been back out on the racetrack in this session.
So the red flag displayed after about 10.5 minutes of this practice gives us the opportunity to revisit Bob Dillner.
Well, Steve Burns, you heard Phil Parsons just talk about that engine situation with the 10 car. And Phil, you're absolutely right. Basically what happened was all the folks from Hendrick Engines were looking and scoping inside that engine. They did not see anything. They knew the ECU said it went over 12,000 RPMs when she missed that shift, but they thought it was going to be okay. But when they fired the engine to warm it back up, it was knocking harder than you can say knock. It was incredible, the sound that came out of that engine compartment. So they decided to change the engines. Right now, Danica Patrick, 33rd in this practice session, Matt.
Now, Bob, Carl Edwards and Clint Boyer are parked side by side here in the garage area. And before this practice began, they were yelling back and forth because it was quiet through the windows, debriefing each other about the first practice session. And Clint was giving Carl a hard time about spinning. He says, yeah, I spun over by turn 5. And Clint said, man, I'd give anything to be that free. We have been so tight that first session. They made a number of changes at the beginning of this session. Now they have worked some freeness into the race car. Now he's just overall looking for grip here on the 15. No longer, though, chattering those front tires.
They're voting grip on him right now. I saw some sticker tires going on that 15 car. But
getting a couple good feel-goods there.
We're getting a report that it was a power steering line on Jamie McMurray's one car, so that's good news for that race team and for Jamie.
All right, we'll step away from the Watkins Glen International Racetrack. Some of the McReynolds relatives. It's a family reunion.
How awesome is Saturday? You got no work today or tomorrow. Saturday can't get any better, right? Right. Wrong. Sorry. Didn't mean it like that. It's just now the only work you got to do on Saturday is watch Fox Sports 1. Trout's working. So is Puig. CC actually has the day off, but that's cool. Got any fives? Poppy, you working? Yeah. Poppy's smoking.
Save big at Bass Pro Shop's Fall Hunting Classic with great deals like Redhead Ripstop Camo shirts or BDU pants for under $15 each. Your choice of 5 great boots for under $80. And this Cuddy-Back IR game camera for under $100.
The bites are back, and we're making them just as cheesy and poppable as ever. That's right, Pizza Hut's Cheesy Bites Pizza is back. Try one now for $11.99 and get our new Ultimate Hershey's Chocolate Chip Cookie for a sweet $4.99. Pizza Hut.
Hi, can I help you?
I'm looking for a phone plan. It has to be a great one, and I don't compromise.
Okay, how about 10 gigs of data to share, unlimited talk and text, and for a family of 4, it's $160 a month.
Wow, sounds like a great deal. So I'm getting exactly what I want then.
Appears so.
Now, I'm not too sure what to do with my arms right now, because this is where I usually start throwing things.
Oh, that's terrifying.
AT&T's best ever family pricing. For instance, a family of 4 gets 10 gigs of data with unlimited talk and text for $160 a month.
Can't stop me, no, you can't stop me. Can't stop me, no, you can't stop me.
You want to save money on car insurance? No problem. You want to save money on RV insurance? No problem. You want to save money on motorcycle insurance? No problem. You want to find a place to park all these things? Forget about it. This is New York.
Hey, little guy, wake up.
Oh, come off it, mate.
Geico. Saving people money on more than just car insurance.
The more you know,
the faster it gets. NASCAR.com. Powered by NASCAR.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International. Final practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams. Back to the garage and Bob Dillner.
Jamie McMurray just climbed out of his #1 machine, and I understand a power steering problem. Were you able to diagnose it, and what did it feel like?
Now, you got me before I could stick my head under the hood to see what happened. I went through the top of the S's, and I felt the power steering start to go out, so I was going to come in, and then whatever happened, it started smoking, and obviously it lost all the fluid. Our McDonald Chevy, though, has been pretty good. It looked like the 4 and the 47 were probably the 2 best cars in race trim there, but the other guys, I thought we were pretty competitive. Ran well at Sonoma, so looking forward to a good weekend here.
14th quick so far for Jamie McMurray, and by the way, guys, you can smell the power steering down here.
All right, thanks very much, Bob.
You know, one of only Jamie McMurray's 2 top 5 finishes here in 2014 was after sitting on the pole out of Sonoma. He finished 4th out there in June.
He was talking about the 4 and the 47 being the best 2 cars in race trim right now. They're at the top of the 5-lap average. Kevin Harvick right now has a 0.2 of a second edge over that 47 of A.J. Allmendinger in that 5-lap average.
Watching Dale Earnhardt Jr., kind of some curious news. We always try to keep up with the headlines that National Guard may be going away, but Hendrick Motorsport says we have a contract through next year, so we'll see how that all plays out.
I hate to lose that. What a great sponsor, the National Guard. They've been a long-time supporter of Dale Jr. since the time he came to Hendrick Motorsports, so we'll be sorry to see them go whenever it is, whether it's this year or next year.
But it sounds like they're pulling out of motorsports across the board. They're pulling their IndyCar sponsorship away next year in 2015 as well.
Danica Patrick back up to speed. 4 laps complete in this final 90-minute session.
She finished 20th here on the lead lap a year ago, and then she finished 18th at Sonoma in June. And what I'm seeing when I look at her 3 Sprint Cup Series road course starts, every start she gets better and finishes better.
Ryan Truex in the 83 goes around.
Yet another car in the carousel.
They need to change the name from the carousel. Just sounds so obnoxious.
It sounds too pleasant.
It sounds like a theme park. You know, you're going to go on a fun ride. It's anything but.
We had a carousel at Sonoma before they changed the racetrack, and people would get upside down in that carousel.
Well,
that was a thrill ride.
If we were
like the zipper.
If we were doing this race on Sunday, I would get our producer and director to lock about 4 cameras down at different angles in that carousel, because it looks like, based on practice, it's going to be exciting. I just think, Phil, you hit the nail on the head. As we see Ryan Truex Jr., this is coming out of the inner loop, entering turn 5 of the carousel. But I think it's all starting at the end of the backstretch. They're carrying so much speed into the inner loop and so much speed on the exit, the grip level just won't take it.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast they go there. They're running about 185 miles an hour as they get down to the bus stop. And right in the center of the bus stop at the slowest point, they're still running over 90 miles an hour. And then they exit at over 105 miles an hour.
Yeah, there was someone with the brake companies telling me that of all the tracks we go to in places where brakes are a big deal, that they see more brake pressure for a longer period of time at the end of this backstretch in that inner loop than we do anywhere else we go.
Meaning sustained pressure.
How long they're on it and how much pressure they're applying, because you're carrying so much speed. And I mean, look what you're trying to do at the end of that long back straightaway. You're trying to make a right, a left, a right, and into turn 5 then.
From 184 or 5 miles an hour down to 90 miles an hour in the matter of just a couple seconds.
I think the big one right here in my book, we were talking about it earlier, is that one right there. 15 consecutive seasons with at least 1 win, which would include the 3 wins in his rookie season in 1999.
Never gone a season without a victory in the Cup Series.
It's amazing. Hey, just want to follow up. 40 drivers have been out on track. There are 43 here. Reed, Sorensen, Casey Kane, Boris said yet to go out. Kane had said they've been out but have not completed a lap.
Remember, issue with the transmission for Casey Kane. That's why he had to come back in before he actually completed a lap.
Denny Hamlin, 8 laps complete. He's listed as 22nd overall. Phil, he just had his hands full in that first practice.
He really did. We saw so much bouncing, and it's really the same way, Larry.
Yep.
And Steve, looks like that car bounces more than a lot of the other cars we see.
And just to update some viewers that maybe were not with us with the first practice after the penalties at Indy, Joe Gibbs Racing had elected to let Darian Grubb, the crew chief, as well as the car chief, start their suspension, but they were going to appeal it this week. In fact, just yesterday, they elected to pull back the appeal, so they're not going to appeal any part of the penalty from Indy. Darian Grubb and the car chief will not return to the first race of the chase, which will be Chicago.
Bob Dillner has more on that 11.
I can tell you what, that team has been working hard on that number 11 car, just way too loose from the moment they unloaded for Denny Hamlin, and that's the problem that keeps on persisting throughout these sessions. So that's what they're working on. They've thrown springs and shocks and all sorts of stuff at it, but it's still loose for Denny Hamlin.
That seems to be one of the themes of the day for both practices, loose.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to follow up a good road course run at Sonoma here at Watkins Glen.
So, you want to be eco-friendly?
Of course.
Okay, got corn.
We got that.
Got someone to blend it into Sunoco Green E15 fuel?
Got it.
Got a car to use that fuel?
Sure do.
Got a way to recycle?
Yep.
Got trees to offset carbon?
Got that.
Got sun to power the sport?
You bet.
Got electric-powered cars?
Yep.
So wait a minute. You cut emissions by 20%, you're the largest recycler in sports, and you use solar power?
Of course we do.
All right. Got a cool earthy logo?
Check this out.
Too cool. Better.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Still doesn't feel real. Our time together was so short.
Well, since you have Progressive's total loss coverage, we were able to replace your totaled bike with a brand new one.
The tank, the exhaust. Well, she looks just like Roxy. You know, I bet she's in a better place now.
I know she is. I feel it in my heart.
Actually, the old Roxy's over at the junkyard.
Getting you back on a brand new bike. Now that's Progressive.
When cold refreshment calls, Coors Light answers. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
At the NASCAR Foundation, we love making this possible. But we actually do some of our best work here, inside the classroom, by providing better school supplies, supporting local teachers, and even offering medical care for kids across NASCAR communities. We're setting kids up for a better future, and it wouldn't be possible without fans like you. Learn how you can impact a child's education today.
Join us for the biggest Labor Day party in the USA. One of the most exciting weekends on the NASCAR Sprint Cup schedule will be capped by 500 miles of breathtaking racing on Atlanta's thrilling and a challenging surface. For tickets, go to AtlantaMotorspeedway.com.
Well, we talk about fastest laps, and this is what we have right now in the final practice. In fact, Austin Dillon just made a second mock qualifying run. But we like to look at drivers that are getting ready to race. And we have 10 drivers that's made at least a 5-lap consecutive run. And right now at the top of that sheet is Kevin Harvick in that 4 car. It just looks like to me that he has speed and that he has good on the long run too.
And that means that 7th place run there, as far as the 7th fastest overall, that was in race trim. So that's how good that car is.
Another guy that's good on the 5-lap average is A.J. Allmendinger, standing by with Bob Dillner.
Well, he's still in race mode. They're switching over to a make-game mock qualifying run, 13th quick. And we heard you in the first session saying you can't race the car like this. Are you any happier?
Slightly more happy. It's, I wouldn't say I'm ever really happy, you know. I'll be happy if we're in victory lane on Sunday. That's when I'll be happy. But, you know, everybody on this 47 team, our Scott Product Chevy's fast. And the good thing was, even when I was complaining my most, it was still fast. I just didn't like the way it drove. So we did a couple of things here to start second practice. I was pretty happy with the race run. You can nitpick and look at lap times, go, I don't know if we're as good as we are, you know, but so far so good. We're going to switch over to qualifying mode here and make a run and see what we got. But so far so good. Just proud of the guys. They worked so hard. This was our Sonoma car that got damaged, so they put it all back together, put a new clip on it, and it's fast again. So we'll go try to wheel the thing. We'll see what happens.
How important is this weekend?
I mean, it's important. Every weekend's important, though. You know, I think everybody points to this because I've been pretty good here. Obviously, a road course background. So we know we do the right things on Sunday. We'll have a shot to win the race, but I don't try to put any more emphasis than going next week to Michigan. If we have a shot to win it, I'm going to do everything I can. If not, we just need a good weekend. We've had fast cars, good runs. We don't have good finishes the last couple of weeks, so we just need a good finish.
And guys, with 5 to go, if you win, you're in the playoffs.
Do the math. 5
Yes, sir.
races. If we could get 5 different winners, they'd all be in.
You win, you're in. That's how it was set up to be over the winter.
Paul Menard is the quickest right now in this practice. His teammate, Austin Dillon, is second quick. Menard working on his 6th lap.
Paul started out in qualifying trim and then came back in slugger labbing the guys, put it back in race trim. Now he's out making a race run, but he just got knocked off the top of the board by Jeff Gordon in that 24 car.
Paul has never had a top 10 finish here at Watkins Glen. There's Jeff Gordon you just spoke about. He's at the top of the heap now as we're about a third of the way through this final practice session.
This will be 1 lap and done for Jeff Gordon. You see him backing off and getting out of the way. That's one thing that's pretty challenging as we take a look at that Caterpillar car of Ryan Newman for Richard Childress Racing. It's hard to get out of the way if you have any trouble or you're out there, you're making a mock qualifying run and you're done with that run, because you have to switch from left to right and you don't want somebody to catch you in the apex of a corner, so it's a little hard to stay out of the way here.
You know, Ryan Newman and that 31 team, they may be the team that's the furthest below the radar right now,
Yes,
but their
sir.
performance is up there. 5th in the points, and if you look at his last 6 races, 2 top 5s and 5 top 11 finishes. I know the goal is to get to victory lane, but they're getting pretty close to where they're in pretty good shape insurance-wise as far as the point situation.
Michael McDowell, he's an accomplished road racer, coming off a great run at Iowa in the Nationwide car, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, ended up finishing 2nd to tie his career best in the Nationwide Series. Right now, Michael is in the 22nd position in that K-Love car.
Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Well, Steve, in the first show, Larry Mack documented just the challenges ahead for Tony Stewart trying to lock himself in. He has to win to get in the chase. Now, the next few races are very good for Smoke. He was 3rd at Bristol in the spring. He's won in Atlanta. Had a great car at Michigan in June till he had the altercation on the track with the 42. And he has 5 wins here at Watkins Glen, but his last 2 road course starts before his accident, not good, and he's still struggling with his 14 car now. Remember, in the first session, if you weren't with us, they had to change the transmission, something amiss there. Now they're just trying to find the bounce. Smoke says the car not improved. Significant changes going on the 14 now.
All right, thanks very much, Matt. We're a third of the way through this 90-minute practice as you take a look at the fastest. Jeff Gordon leading the way.
Hey, tonight on America's Pregame Big Show, the one, the only, Charles Barkley joins the show to talk LeBron, Auburn, and the SEC. With only 5 races still to chase, we'll head to Watkins Glen with a surprising dark horse, and we have a pair of NFL alumni getting you set for 6 huge preseason clashes. All starts at 6 Eastern, America's Pregame.
The one time, the one deal on America's #1 brand. It's your Quality Plus Ford Store's summer sell down. The one place to get 0% financing for 72 months. That's right, 0% financing for 72 months on most vehicles in stock, including Ford Focus, Fiesta, Fusion, Escape, Explorer, and more. But you must hurry. This is the one time you can get 0% financing for 72 months. It's the summer sell down at your Quality Plus Ford Store.
Attention surgical mesh patch implant patients. Jurors in New Jersey have awarded a surgical mesh victim $7.7 million in punitive damages.
If you or a loved one had a surgery for pelvic organ prolapse or urinary leakage where a mesh patch was used and have experienced urinary problems, pelvic pain, infection, erosion of the mesh, and more, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation.
Call 1-800-460-67...